Hello, everybody. Anyone who's out there, thanks for joining in. Hello, hello, and welcome to the live show. Well, hello, hello. We're going to get started here at the top of the hour. We'll give folks a little time to get wandering in. I got Roxy and Darley with me. Pull them out. They're my big guns if I need them. Well, hey everybody, how you doing? It is 7 p.m. here in REST headquarters, and it is 7 a.m. in Manila. So good morning to the people in Manila, and good evening to the people here in the eastern part of the United States, and good day to everyone in between. So I want you, thank you so much. Some little house rules. I want to make sure, can you hear me okay? Everyone can hear me okay? All right, and if you can see my screen, all right. So I'll be honest with you, I'm used to doing presentations and Zoom calls, and Facebook Live doesn't let me do all that stuff. So I've got a little rigged setup, and hopefully that's going to work for me tonight. So anyway, we're going to go ahead. We're going to give it just another minute or two for folks to wander in and get started. If there's any questions you want to have, type them in the comment box below. You can send them to me privately, or you can send them to the group. I have lots of polls and things built into this, so we have some conversation going on as well. I thought I had some polls. There we go. See where my polls are here. See, don't see my polls. Okay, anyway, well, it's about 2 minutes after, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I'm gonna go ahead, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow along. I've got some slides here for you. The slides have numbers and things, and if you want to copy the slides, I can send them to you afterwards. Let me see, I gotta get my screen set up like that. Okay, now it should work. Fingers crossed. Here we go. All right, here are our topics tonight. We've got the science of sleep. I'm going to talk about the research on rest, and then tips and tools on how to rest better and faster. Now, there's places to stop for questions. At least those are hard stops, and we got lots of time at the end too. So I want to make sure I get all your questions and answer any questions and answer anything that you might have. All right, so I've got some polls for you. I've got some questions for you. You can rewind this broadcast at any time in case you missed something or you're coming in late or watching the replay. The slides have numbers on them. So if you refer to a slide number, that'll really help me, and I'll try to refer to the slide numbers as I go along to help you keep up with where we're going. Please like and share. That helps me and it helps spread the word. So if you like what you're seeing, please like me and please subscribe and please share. Most important, we're here to have some fun. We're going to share some information, but it's more important to have fun. That's a big part of how we have rest and how we relax. Are there any questions before we get started? Okay, I don't see any hands popping up and I don't see any names there. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get started. So just my disclaimers, this is not medical advice. If you need medical advice, please talk to your physician. And I don't own the rights to any music or meditations that I might use throughout these presentations. All right, a little bit about me. I've been doing this for a long time, right? So don't worry about what's on the screen. Let me tell you a story. Let me start with a question, actually. So does anybody here like going to the dentist? I don't know. I don't. Okay, so I had to go to the dentist the other day, and usually I take laughing gas, right? So it is a big stressor for me. But I was in the chair this time getting my teeth cleaned. And when I was back in the car looking, I looked at my activity tracker, and it said that I was asleep. And I thought, what? How can I be asleep? It's because I learned how to relax, and I can teach you how to relax too. And part of that is what we're going to cover tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have a question. How many people have trouble sleeping at night? You know, and actually most people have trouble sleeping at night. Nearly half of Americans lay awake at least one night due to stress. 65% of us have trouble falling asleep and will be exhausted tomorrow. And 50 to 70 million people in the United States suffer from chronic sleep disorders. So if you're suffering from this, or you know someone who's suffering from this, or you're just interested in the topic, you are far from alone. Most people have some sort of experience with this, and unfortunately, that experience isn't very good. Now, I'll tell you right away, there's a lot we don't know about sleep. We don't know why we have sleep cycles. We don't know why we dream. We don't even know why we need sleep in the first place. But we're looking up those answers all the time. But one thing's for certain, right? We know what happens when we have a good night's sleep. We feel better. And we know what happens when we don't have a good night's sleep. We don't feel as well. All sleep is not the same. It's actually 4 distinct stages that you move through as you're sleeping, and you're going to go through these cycles repeatedly. So light stages of 1 and 2, through stages slow wave sleep or deep sleep, stage 3, and REM sleep, which is your dream sleep, which is stage 4. Stage 3, deep sleep, is known for changes to your body. So your brain's sort of hanging out during this stage, but your body's doing a lot of recovery. Your breathing slows down, your heart rate slows down, your muscles become completely relaxed, and you typically sleep through external distractions like noises or light or small disturbances. It's during this phase when the body naturally heals itself. This is when your cells are replaced and your wounds are healed and you start building your muscles. Stage 4, which comes after that, REM sleep, is the deepest stage. And that's usually 90 minutes after you've started falling asleep. And the REM cycles are usually are associated with intense brain activity. So it's the opposite. So in stage 3, your brain was sort of quiet. In stage 4, your brain's all fired up. Now you go through about 3 to 5 REM periods per night, and the length of the REM periods get longer as the night goes on. A couple other things going on while you're going through this, right? You're releasing growth hormones, your immune system's releasing proteins, your liver, kidneys, and proteins are processing the waste that you've taken on during the day. So there's a lot of process that all sort of have to take place in a very sequential order. I think for a lot of times we think sleep is an off switch, that it's sort of like our phone, we just sort of turn it off. But it's not. There's a lot of things that need to happen and a lot of processes depend on each other to happen in the correct sequence. Now, I know a lot of folks have questions about aging and sleep, and this comes up a lot. Why do things change when I sleep? So there are some evidence that patterns do change with sleep, but the most important thing, and the thing I'd like to leave you with, is that healthy adults are less likely to report sleep problems. So a lot of the things we typically think of as being age-related with sleep may just be because we're not healthy. And we're finding out that people who are healthy tend not to have these problems. And one of the best ways we know that are these long studies. So this is a study, the Monroe study. It's been around 16 years, right? And they look specifically at REM sleep. And what they found was a 13% higher mortality rate for every 5% reduction in REM sleep. So we know that all-cause mortality, which is all causes of death, is sort of, we can't say it's causation, but it's correlated to how much REM sleep people are getting. And it seems around the cutoff is around 15%, right? So if you have activities trackers or you have these gadgets that help you track these things, see where your REM sleep is and see. And you want to have a target of a little better than 15%. Now we know what happens when we don't get enough sleep. But did you know that all these things are possible, right? I don't think everyone always understands that all these things are possible. We're less resistant to colds and flus. We're more likely to be obese. We have worse athletic performance. We have problems concentrating, difficulties with memory, and impaired motor skills. So here in the picture of our brain, right at the back of our brain there at the top, the amygdala, what's happening during sleep, when we lose sleep, that amygdala, the part of the brain, and that's sort of our fear center, it is activated more and more. So by comparison, people who have a full night's sleep show increased activity in the cerebellum, which is the other part of the brain, the front part of the brain. And there's also decreased activity in the limbic system, which regulates anxiety. In fact, science shows a lot of correlations between anxiety and sleep, and the imbalance in the body is the same. So let's do a little true and false. I've been talking a lot, and I haven't had a lot of questions come up so far, so I appreciate you hanging in there. So let's do a little true and false. So these are some sort of common myths about sleep, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. So let's just pick a number and go ahead, and someone's going to pick a number for me, and go ahead and, okay. Number one's always a good one. All right, so number one, do we think it's true or false? Chocolate candies, do they help you sleep? All right, I'll give the answers in just a minute. All right. What about wearing blue light filtering glasses? Does that make any difference? Does that help you sleep at night as well as help you be more productive during the day? What do you think? Okay. Chocolate candies do not help you sleep better. Sorry, that is false. But wearing blue light filtering glasses actually does help you sleep better at night, and it does help your productivity during the day. And I can put some of those out in the comments below. If you want questions, I can send you some link to Amazon. All right, a couple more. Let's see. We got audio tapes. We got the dust mites. Here's number 3. You can catch up on missed sleep over the weekend. So a lot of people have a very stressful week. They've got a lot going on, and they say, don't worry, I'll catch up on the weekend. Do you think that's true, or do you think that's false? Let me know in the comments below. Okay? Okay? That is false. You actually cannot. You catch up on missed sleep in the early part of your sleep cycle when you need deep sleep, and so you need to go to bed earlier, not catch up on the weekend and sleep in later. Doesn't work that way. All right. Next we got naps. All right, so we've talked about sleep a lot. We know there are sleep cycles. We know what happens when we sleep. But what happens about a nap? So about 30% of us, 1 in 3, take a nap. I take naps. Naps are nice. And they can actually be part of a well-balanced sleep routine. What's important, though, is that nap doesn't do too much. You want to have just the first 2 stages of sleep, which is about 20 minutes, or go through that one complete cycle. You don't want to go into the second cycle because then you're going to start to disrupt the other cycles, right? So you want to keep it short. Keep it to 20 minutes or to like 1 full cycle of sleep. So if you dream and if you can, wake yourself up. All right, let me give you some tips on better sleep. So 1, have a pre-sleep routine. Light exercises, deep breathing, yoga, all these can help your mind relax, to let go of worry. And it's important to have a ritual, right, to sort of create a pattern of activities that your brain can recognize and say, hey, I'm going to sleep now. Another activity that you can add, something that you could do that you're not doing now, is read from a book. So a 2009 study from the University of Sussex showed that 6 minutes of reading from a book reduces stress by 68%. That's more relaxing than music or a cup of tea. And Sleep Junkie did a study of 1,000 people, and they found that bookworms earn more money, made healthier choices, and have a better outlook on life. So there's a couple of reasons to read a book. Things you could do to lose, habits you can lose to have better sleep: screen time. All right, blue light and the light that's emitted from these devices and from your TV prevents the production of melatonin. And Penn State did a study in 2017, and they found that children who used a computer at bedtime reported 60 minutes less sleep than kids who did not. So it's especially important not to use that before bed, and it's especially important for kids. The other thing you could lose is a snack, right? If you eat too close to bedtime and have too big a snack, your body isn't sleeping because your digestive organs are working, so your heart can't slow down, and that delays your REM sleep, which delays your waste production, so it starts a cascading effect. So try not to do that at all. All right, and there we are. That takes us through our first section on the science of sleep. I'm going to stop here, see if there are any questions. Anyone has questions, they can type in the comment box. All right, no questions yet. Very good, very good. All right, we're going to move on to research of rest now. All right, so what is rest? So a lot of times we think about rest, and again, we have this idea that sleep is something we can catch up on, or rest is something we can somehow go out and get, or we can just sort of lie down and nothing else is going on. But I think we all know that doesn't really happen. You can lay down and be totally awake because your mind is racing. You're worried about a problem. You're thinking about something that happened. You're worried about something that might happen. So a lot of times we might lay down to sleep, but we're not really resting. And if you look in the dictionary definition of rest is to relax, pause, breathe, and to be at ease. And that's a great definition as a starting point. But I think it's time to add to that and to change that, right? I think we need to add rest is also to refresh and to renew, because we learned that in the first section on sleep. And the other thing is rest is important to provide a rhythm to our lives. So what do I mean by that? Well, I don't know if there are any musicians out there in the group. Are any musicians out there in the group? Well, music is basically 2 things. It's notes and it's rest. And those 2 things in combination create all the music we know. Because without a rest, da is what you would hear. But with a rest, what you hear is something you would definitely recognize. Because with a rest, da becomes dan 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 Dun, 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 dun. All right. I won't quit my day job. Very good. So I apologize for the complexity of this slide, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the nervous system because this is really critical to our understanding of rest. So the nervous system has a couple parts. You've got your central nervous system, which is your spinal cord, your brainstem, and your brain, and the peripheral nervous system. And then within there, you have your autonomic nervous system and your somatic nervous system. And we're going to drill down even further to your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. It's not so important that you know what these things are or how they all work. It's important to know that you have them or they're working or you wouldn't be here watching this now. So you know that it's working and so that piece is covered. But what we're learning more and more, it's the balance between these two things that either keeps us in a stressful state and prevents us from sleeping, or keeps us in a restful state and helps us sleep. So as I said in that first picture, right, that the ANS has two subsystems, the SNS and the PNS. Now the ANS is always on, right? It triggers your fear, your fight, what they call the flight or fight response. You might have heard of that. So that is always on. It's always sensing. It's always looking. But in general, the opposite of that is the parasympathetic system. So that's the part that sort of puts on the brakes. So that influences our resting, the nourishing and repair aspects of our body. This has cardiovascular benefits, more stable blood sugar, higher overall energy because your cortisol levels are reduced and balanced out. You get better sleep quality because the overactive sympathetic nervous system negatively impacts those rhythms that we've been talking about throughout the presentation today. So here's a chart, and I know you can't read this, but we can look this up, and I'll put it in the notes as well. These are the differences between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. But what I want you to draw your attention to is that very bottom part. What activate these systems? Because all these systems are running at the same time. Both systems are always there, but they can't run at the same time. It's one or the other, right? So it's the amount of time you spend in one or the other. So the more time that you're stressed or fearful or angry or worried, the more time you're going to spend with your sympathetic nervous system activated. But the more time that you spend rested, sleeping, in meditation, relaxation techniques, and a sense of being, what's that say? I don't know. But the more time you spend in the other place, right, that keeps that going as well. So the analogy I like to use, it's like the gas and the brakes. Now the problem is we like to run with both going on at the same time. And have you ever seen what happens to a car when you have the gas and the brakes on at the same time? That's what we do to ourselves when we fail to address the balance, right? And this balance, it turns out to be that's what's key. So at a physiological level, relaxation is a shift in the ANS towards the PNS. And brain scans, when we look at people who are relaxed, show that stress and sleep deprivation are the same in balance by having low activity in the PNS. So I know that's a lot of technological jargon, but that's sort of the science behind rest and what we want to do if we want to rest more. Now, I've mentioned this a couple times. You've seen the slides. You might be talking about it. You see it a lot, heart rate variance. So that's one of the new tools that we can use to measure that balance in our stress levels. So a lot of activity trackers and body sensors have this built in. If you look at your nightly HRV average, it can help you know when your body's rested and when it's time to take on a challenge, and when you're a little stressed, it might be time to ease back. Now, when it comes time to rest, they're going to say, oh, you need to relax. So what do, right? Stress management techniques, and there are a lot of them. They've got breathing techniques, there's muscle relaxation, guided imagery, you've got biofeedback, but all of them have the same goal. They all want to lower your breathing rate, to lower your blood pressure, and create a feeling of calm and well-being, because that is what the body naturally associates with being in the parasympathetic network. But here's the problem. What's promising and what works, we don't really know. But you don't have to worry, because I did that for you. And what's interesting is there's a lot of good stuff to know about this. So the National Institutes of Health looked at relaxation techniques, and they find that they help reduce anxiety. They help especially reduce the symptoms of PTSD, and they also help with depression. So we know these tools are more than just what we think will work. We know that they really work. That's where we are in the science of rest. We're coming up on 20 minutes, and I don't like to go too long here. So I'm going to wrap things up. If there are no questions here, I'll pause for just a second. But if not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up with tips and tools to rest better and faster. That's why we're here, right? Here it is. You stuck around this long, you earned this one. All right, here you go. There are three things that you can do to rest better and faster. You can use gentle body movement to reset your central nervous system, right? And we do that in Restercise to what we call the rest stretch. You can slow your breath to restore balance and establish parasympathetic dominance. And we do that with the rest breath. And that's what we're going to do here in the next minute. And the third thing you can do is focused attention training. It's a little different than meditation, although meditation can be a type of this as well. But what you really want to do is you really want to focus on the neural pathways in the prefrontal cortex. And so we call that a rest reflection. All right. Certainly, this is not the first time anyone has said, hey, gee, slow your breath and you can calm down, right? There are lots of breathing patterns out there. Dr. Wheel has one, the 4-7-8 that you can look out. 4-4-4 is out there. That's 4 in, 4 out, hold for 4. Heart math is out there, 5 in, 5 out for count of 10. So there are a lot of things that are out there. But what's it really mean when we say to take a slow breath? A lot of people say, I want to take a slow breath. But what's that mean? Well, the typical respiratory rate is 10 to 20 breaths per minute. So most of us are right there around 14, 15, 16 breaths per minute. Slow breathing is 4 to 10 breaths per minute. So it's pretty much half. It can be up to half of where you are now. That's a big jump. A lot of times if people are slowing their breath down, they're not going to go that far. But we can also look at, when we look at the brain studies, we find the anatomically optimized respiration rate. I love that one. There, throw that one around. I learned the anatomically optimized respiration rate today is around 6 to 10 breaths per minute. And a shift towards parasympathetic balance is reported 8 breaths per minute. All right. So we know by studying people's brains, when that shift happens in the part of the brain, and we've covered that before, how that happens. So that's how much. What about inhale versus exhale? Well, an inhalation rate of 3 seconds and an exhalation rate of 6 seconds allows the parasympathetic network to quickly become dominant and cause the body to relax. So we can breathe slower and we can double the exhale to help us relax faster. It is amazing stuff. And our old friend heart rate variance paints a similar picture. When you study heart rate variance, the maximum heart rate variance typically is also observed at a respiratory rate of about 6 breaths per minute. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to breathe at 6 breaths per minute with an inhale of 3 and an exhale of 6. All right. So let me click on this, get this started. See how this sounds. If this doesn't sound, I'll have it on my phone, and we'll do it on my phone as well. Where we're going here is you're actually going to my YouTube page, and this isn't a plug. I didn't mean to plug, but it's just the way this thing works. So if we go here, you're going to go to my YouTube page, right? And what I can tell you is here's the activity we're about to do. And also out here, I have a lot of other resources for you as well. So I have playlists on all different things. So if you ever need this stuff and you want to do this outside of here, you can easily go to YouTube and get it done there. All right, so how? So now I need to close that window. All right, let me try that. Somehow. Get rid of that. Okay. There we go. Back to this. All right. So I sort of skipped over that. But 3 minutes later, right, sort of doing a pre-check and a post-check, you'd be a lot more relaxed, right? A lot more relaxed. So why does this matter? Very interesting stuff, sort of cool, maybe interesting, but why does it matter? Because we can use activities like the rest breath to actually change our physical responses to stress. Because a lot of times, it's not the actual stress that sends us into a panic mode, it's our perception of stress that sends us into panic mode. So I've given you a lot of information. I'm going to wrap things up here today. I do thank you so much for being here with me. So here are my messages for you. Sleep is not just an off switch or something you catch up on the weekends. Sleep and rest are necessary because your body's not going to function its best when it's not well rested. Not just rest from sleep, but from weariness and from distress. Rest is radical, right? Today's world is constantly demanding our attention, and the idea that we set aside some time to put our body, mind, and spirits in quiet and away from the noise is a pretty cool, radical idea. Rest creates the rhythm of your life because rest refreshes your body. It gives us the energy we need. Rest is an experience of being at home with yourself and your spirit. So rest is spiritual intimacy. Rest is a gift. We call it downtime like it's not important, but life without rest is not sustainable. And resting is something we can do together, right? You create a common time for a shared rest routine. Compete for the lowest Harding rest rate. The benefits are contagious. I want to thank you so much for hanging in here. We're coming up at the bottom of the hour. You can find me on my socials, my Restercise on Instagram and on the web, Restercise on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know why I couldn't make it all the same, just didn't get there. Or you can email me at restercise@yahoo.com. I've got some upcoming live shows. Let me know what interests you the most. The seven habits of highly rested people, rest in spirit, 5 modern health myths debunked, preventing burnout, and a Restercise pajama party. I hope to see you at one of those soon. And if this is the replay or you have any questions, of course, drop me a note and see you next time. For now, that's it from Rest Headquarters. Bye-bye. If I can get it turned off. Did so well up until then.